Hey everyone, welcome back to bageltcg. Today we're going to be taking a quick look at Matt Rogers' Viserai list that he took to a top 8 finish at the Orlando Calling. I personally think Viserai is the best positioned hero in the meta right now as of December 12th, 2021. We're waiting for Everfest to come out, waiting for ProQuest season around February and March of next year. But I currently think Viserai is the best positioned hero in the meta. A lot of people are going to say Briar. That's true. Briar is the most popular deck, but Viserai has a very good Briar matchup, but also beats the decks that are trying to prey on Briar. Generally, I don't think Viserai has almost any bad matchups right now. I think maybe you could say Bravo, but I'd say overall Viserai beats almost every deck in the meta, or at least has a 50-50, which means it's just down to skill and outplaying your opponent at that point. I will say Viserai, I believe, is one of the hardest heroes to play, and definitely one of the hardest to master. He's very complicated. I personally have not picked him up. I like simple smash face Bravo decks, but I do, think Viserai is interesting, and I really would love to pick him up. It might just hurt my head a bit. Anyways, we're just gonna go over the deck here. Just kind of run down what's happening in the deck. Viserai is a just classic, the original Runeblade hero. His ability says, whenever you play a Runeblade card, if you have played another non-attack action this turn, you make a rune chant token. Very strong effect, getting free rune chants that do many things in this deck. They reduce costs, they deal extra arcane damage, you stack them up. The weapons are the very powerful Runeblade weapon Rosetta Thorn, which whenever you attack with it, if you've played an attack action and a non-attack this turn, it deals 2 arcane damage. So it'll be then doing 2 physical and 2 arcane when it's activated, which you should usually be able to do. We also played the Reaping Blade. This is when you're going full OTK, when you're trying to do a big one-turn kill, as it's called. Reaping Blade prevents your opponent from gaining life if they have more life than you. What this means is you should intentionally take a little damage early on, and then you just go full blocking until you can build up 20 or so rune chants, do a big one-turn kill, and Reaping Blade prevents them from gaining life. Usually you're just going to play this against heroes that will gain life, so for example, into Saber's Bolton, who's going to try to gain a lot of life off of their Lumina Ascension turn. Reaping Blade will stop that. Maybe against Bravos, who you think will be gaining a lot of life with Sigils and Blessing of Deliverances. If you know the opponent plays life gain, Reaping Blade will come in there. The equipment is pretty standard. We're playing Arcanite Skullcap, Bloodchief Skeleton, Kind of Dichotomy can come in when you need Arcane Barrier 1, Grasp of the Arcanite, and Spellbound Creepers. Spellbound Creepers plus Rosetta is what really made this deck the strongest deck right now. Those 2 new things they got from Tales of Aria are both very powerful. We're going to just quickly go over it. Arcanite Skullcap blocks for 2 if you have less life than your opponent, and then it'll block for 1 after that because of Battle Worn. Very good generic equipment that can block for, technically 3 total here. Bloodchief Skeleton is how this deck functions. It has blocks for 2 and has Temper, so if you defend with it, when it has no defense left, it'll be destroyed. So usually you'll just block with it once for 2, and then after that you'll usually activate its effect, which lets you at instant speed destroy it. Your next attack action and non-attack cost 1 less to play for each rune chant. This is how you do your OTK. You will activate that. You'll make your next Sonata Arcanix cost, maybe 20 less or however many rune chants you have. Usually it's in a dozen or so. And then you can do a massive Sonata Arcanix turn. Crown of Dichotomy, mostly here for the Arcane Barrier 1 when you need it. It also has a somewhat, important effect that lets you just pay 1, destroy it, and put a Runeblade attack action card and non-attack from your graveyard on top of your deck, so you can kind of stack the top of your deck. Grasp the Arcanite is the best Runeblade, equipment. Once per turn, you can pay 2 resources and make a rune chant. It costs an additional 1 to activate for each rune chant you control. It also has Battle Worn and blocks for 2, and then after that 1 because of Battle Worn. It's important, to know how to use Grasp the Arcanite, especially on the first turn. A lot of people use this to, stack their deck, kind of fix their hand without letting their opponent do anything in response. So if you go first, you can pitch to Grasp of the Arcanite, usually overpitch, pitch like a red and then a yellow or a red and a blue. Put a card in your arsenal and then pass. you will be able to filter your hand into exactly what you want, and you'll have a rune chance, so you'll have the advantage in that way. Spellbound Creepers says once per turn instant, pay 1 resource, you put a bind counter on Spellbound Creepers, then you may play your next non-attack action as though it were an instant. You can activate it only if you've attacked or defended with an attack action this turn. And at the beginning of your end phase, you destroy it unless you have dealt arcane damage this turn equal to or greater the number of bind counters. So kind of a complicated equipment. Basically, it lets you refresh your action point by paying a resource, playing a non-attack at instant speed, but because that non-attack usually will have go again, you will get your action point back and be able to continue your combat. Definitely you want to try to keep it around though for a few bind counters. We're going to look here at just our attack actions. We're playing 30, playing 34 non-attacks, because we have a sideboard. These amplify the Arknights, quite good. Cost reduced by 1 for each rune chance, so if you have 3 rune chance, it's free to swing for either 6 or 4 here. It also blocks for 3, pretty solid. We're playing 2 Command and Conquer, usually in the sideboard, but they can be brought into the matchups when you really want to threaten the opponent's arsenal. 3 Dread Triptych, this is a very powerful card. It's a blue that blocks for 3, so it does all that classic stuff, and then it also has a few effects, so if you've played a non-attack this turn, you get a rune chant. If you've dealt Arcane this turn, you get a rune chant, and if Dread Triptych itself hits, you get a rune chant. So this card can make up to 3 rune chants, while also swinging for 4 damage at the cost of 3 resources. Enlightened Strike is a very classic, flexible attack action that can do anything for whatever situation it's needed in by either drawing a card, getting +2, or getting go again at just the cost of putting a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck, which also allows you, to stack your deck as well. Meet and Greet, very powerful card. Costs 1 and swings for 4. If it hits, you get a rune chant, but if you've dealt or deal arcane damage to opposing hero, it gets go again. So when you swing it, if you have some rune chants pop and they take them, it'll get go again as well. This card is very good, especially during your Sonata OTK turns. We've got Ninth Blade. This is pretty important on your OTK turns. It costs 9 and swings for 9, but it gets reduced by 1 for each rune chant. So if you have 9 rune chants, it'll be free to swing for 9. Rune Flash is another one of our many discounted cards. It swings for 4 with go again, and it costs 1 less for each rune chant, and it typically costs 3 for, so it's when you have 3 rune chants, it swings for 4 with go again for 0. Spellblade Assault is a great way to make rune chants on kind of a medium turn when you're just trying to, pitch 1 card, swing with 1 card, and block with your other 2. It costs 2, and it makes 2 rune chants. The blue swings for 2 physical, and the red swings for 4 physical. We've got 1 Vexing Malice here. Sometimes, your opponent doesn't expect the 2 arcane, and you also just need enough blues, so this kind of rounds out our blues. This can kind of be anything you want, really, but he has it as a 1 blue Vexing Malice, swings for 1 but deals 2 arcane, and it blocks for 3. We're playing a suite of 9 defense reactions. This is what makes this deck have a very good matchup into Briar. Reduced to Rune Chant, blocks for 4. It costs 1 less to play for each Rune Chant, so if you have 1 Rune Chant, it's free. And it also makes Rune Chant, so very good at building up your Rune Chants while also holding back. Sigil of Suffering, costs 0, deals 1 arcane, and if you've dealt arcane, it gets +1, so it's usually for 3, but it'll typically block for 4, especially against aggro decks that aren't going to want to pay that arcane. Or, pay that resource if they have Arcane Barrier to block that arcane. We're also playing the classic 3 Sink Belows, just a 0 for 4 block that lets you filter your hand. Looking at our non-attacks, we're playing 3 Become the Arknight, classic card that lets us find exactly what we need by discarding a non-attack or an attack to find the other type of card. That's a Runeblade. Gorganian Tome draws a card. If your opponent has already played a Gorganian Tome, it draws 2 cards. Mauvrian Skies will give our next Runeblade attack action go again. And the blue will make it create 1 rune chant. The yellow will make it create 2 rune chants if it hits. Very good card to let you go wide. Mordred Tide is maybe one of the best cards in Viserai specifically, but it costs 0. It has go again. And until end of turn, if you would make a rune chant, you get that many +1. This lets you do pretty solid turns like play red Mordred Tide, play red read the runes. You'll get 2 rune chants off of Viserai's trigger, and then 4 rune chants off of Read the Runes, because the red Read the Runes makes 3 rune chants. So you'll get 6 rune chants off of 2 cards there, which is quite powerful. We've also got Oath of the Arknight. We got the blues. It's just a nice blue to have. Blocks for 3. It can, make a rune chant if you need to. Rattlebones is another way to go really tall and also wide. Just do everything you need really on your OTK turns. It costs 2. It lets you play a attack action from your graveyard, and then you banish Rattlebones. Sorry, you banish the Runeblade attack action, and then you can play it this turn. Read the Runes is one of our ways to make rune chants. It creates 2 rune chants on the yellow and 3 on the red. It does not have Go Again typically, but this is one of those cards you can kind of capitalize off of Spellbound creepers here. So, you've attacked with something, you can pay a resource, and then you can play the Read the Runes at instant speed, which allows you to do, attack and Read the Runes that turn, which is quite good. We got 3 blue Whisper of the Oracles here. It blocks for 3. It's in a non-attack action that costs 0 with Go Again. It says opt to, but really just does all the things we want of being a 3 block, being 0 cost, being a blue, being a non-attack with Go Again. Just kind of does all the bread and butter that we want here. We've got 3 Runeblood barriers. These are typically sideboard cards, but they're very good against like Guardians, because it'll block really big swings, blocking with your rune chants. So it'll make it so their crushes and their dominate effects are easier for you to block. I think in a lot of scenarios against aggro, it's not going to be good to play this, because they're just going to kind of wreck your rune chants, and you don't really need that. But I think Runeblood Barrier overall is a pretty solid card. And then, the king of the deck. Let's zoom in on Sonata Arcanix here. Sonata Arcanix, it costs XX. You reveal the top X plus 3 cards of your deck. For each non-attack revealed this way, you put an attack action revealed this way into your hand. Then you deal arcane damage to target hero equal to the number of cards put into your hand this way. Shuffle your deck, banish Sonata Arcanix. So X is, half of whatever you put into it, because it costs XX. But this card is reduced when you sacrifice your Bloodsheath Skeleton equipment, right? So let's say you have 12 rune chants. You pop your Bloodsheath Skeleton. Your next card will be reduced by 12. So if you make this X12 here, it'll be 6, because it's half of whatever it is. So you'll reveal the top 9 cards of your deck. You will get a non-attack. You will put an attack action into your hand for each non-attack revealed this way. So let's say you reveal, 4 attacks and 4 non-attacks. You get free draw 4 cards. And then it has Go Again. You deal 4 arcane. It does so much stuff. If you can make the X usually you want this to be an even number to try to do a perfect flip, but ideally you have a good number is maybe 18 rune chants, which will make an X9. So you'll flip the top 12 cards and hopefully get 6 of each, 6 on attack and 6 attack. Draw 6 cards and just do a ton of damage. Usually I think if you're at about 18 rune chants, you will kill the opponent even if they're at 40 life. So that's kind of your game plan against these aggro decks too, is to kind of do a halfway OTK. Against Briar and such, you're going to be trying to block with defense reactions and with your nice 3 blocks until you have, a dozen or more rune chants. And then you're going to try to do the Sonata OTK and switch the tempo, and at that point be in charge of the game and kill them from there. Very powerful deck. Let me know if you guys are on this deck. It's kind of the classic Runeblade. It's very powerful, and I think it's the best position deck right now. If you like this video, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.